Alright, YouTube, back again with another video. This one's going to go in place of the layout update for this month. Just between schoolwork and some other stuff, it's just been crazy around here, and I had hardly any time at all to get down here. So we're going to replace this with a how-to. And this time it's going to be ballasting your track. I got the idea from an article I read online somewhere, I can't remember what, so my apologies for that. But first let's do a brief overview of how they ballasted mainline tracks in the 50s. Then I'm going to tell you real quick why I'm using this instead of the traditional Woodland Scenics glue method, or the wet water and then glue method, and then I will move on to the actual demonstration. I'll show you how I do it. So just FYI, those of you who don't know, all the way up until the end of steam, they take the cinders from burning the coal, and they usually use them as ballast. On the main lines, it would be the underlayment under the ballast, and then for signs and yards, they would put it right on it. And then places like steel mills and coal railroads, especially branches and yards, in those sort of places would be virtually exclusively either steam cinders or slag, leftovers from the furnace process. You know, instead of paying probably hundreds of dollars to bring in ballast, they just put it down. Now, on really busy stretches of tracks, like the Lehigh Valley and other places where it used to be 4 or even 5, 6 main lines, where they still used it, sometimes you can go back and look at the service roads or, you know, wheel treads along the track where the service trucks drive. And if the treads go over where there used to be track, a very, very heavily used track, sometimes they've gotten down so deep they've gotten down actually to the 1940s and 50s cinders. So sometimes those streaks of really, really dark black, what you're seeing cinders left over from steam locomotives. But since on my railroad I'm doing the 50s and everything south of Logan is run off steam, they've got cinder underlayment. And what I use to represent that, if you'll give me a minute to get it, stick my big fat hand in the way, is some of this stuff. It's called sand. I picked it up at Hobby Lobby. It goes on pretty shiny, but once I put the glue on, it dulls it down quite a bit. And this is, well, there you go, $2.49. And one of these tubs will get you a good 5-6 feet of track. So this is what first thing I do is I put my cinder subgrade down along the side here, and for this I'll just use either straight Woodland Scenics or my diluted mix of, and no, it's not better than bouillon, it's glue. It's 50-50 Elmer's, just straight Elmer's white glue, and then water. And this is what I use for virtually all of my scenery. But for this, it's going to get kind of a 2-layer application. So for this one, we're actually going to have 2 steps. Our first step is going to be just straight up glue. You can see it right there. I added a bit of water, just enough to so it'll flow and it'll spread out, but I haven't saturated this nearly as much. So this is like 80% glue, 20% water, and that's just a guess. I have no idea how much the actual ratio is, but use that. For ballast, we've got a mix of Woodland Scenics gray blend and then some dark gray thrown in there. I tried using just the gray blend, and you could hardly see the gray, so I added a bunch more gray. And the difference, if I can get this in the right spot, Okay, I have no idea if you can see that, but the grade shows up a lot more in this than it did in the factory manufactured grade lens. So both of them are coarse grain. It makes it a little more interesting to do it, but it'll still work. Just note real quick, small granule stuff like what I've got on this track, you don't need 2 steps. You can just either brush it on and then brush the glue on and then put it like I'm going to show you, or you can put it on and then use the diluted, and it works fine with this and the cinders. That didn't work very well with this, and I have a feeling it's just because it's coarse and larger granules. So, since I said brush it on, you're going to need a brush, and I just got like cheap $1, $2, $3 brushes from Hobby Lobby. I can tell I've been using it. It's got, well, had Flexiground foam and ballast stuck in it. And then lastly, I've also got a regular plastic spoon like you get with, Happy Meal from McDonald's or whatever, just travel spoons. And I use that for the ballast. So basic overview of the process. Part 1, we're going to take our brush and we're literally going to just brush straight up glue on there. We'll take our spoon, we'll layer it on, and we'll put enough to do the entire slope, excluding the part up here with the, we'll basically put enough amount to just do the whole slope. You don't want it to come all the way out, just about right there where the edge of the bristles are, halfway along that band of black subgrade. And then come back and you use an eyedropper, put on as much of the 50-50 as you need. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's adjust the camcorder here a little bit. I'm going to move this jar so it's easier for me to reach. And of course my big fat hand's in the way. Trying to see what's in the camera lens and what's not. So you can see I'm just brushing it on. Just straight up Elmer's glue. Some water. If at all possible, try not to get it on the rail, and I just did right there, but oh snob. Oh well. As long as you got a decent track eraser and cleaner, you can get it off. Call this advertised if you want, but seriously, look at the track clean tanker from Jimmy TMX track clean tank car. It's might pricey, but it does an incredible job. So, and this dries slow enough I can usually do 3 feet, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to stop right about there because it's starting to get out of my viewing screen, and I prefer to keep this in the. I got more on the rail than I thought I did. Crap. Okay, so there's your brush. I'm just going to lay it on the lid for now. Wash that out as soon as you're done, otherwise it solidifies and then you're in for a pain. Okay, so next step, like I said, we're just going to brush the ballast on. I'm not getting very much. Probably using about that much, a third of the capacity. So we're going to do it. I'm going to pause this real quick, get on the other side of the camera, and then we'll resume. Alright, and I right hand steadier than my left, so the way I do this, let me get this zoomed in to decent spot. Oh, come on. The way I do this is I'll take it and I'll tap it See what I'm doing? I'm getting just enough. And you can't because the spoon's in the way. But I'm getting just enough on here to cover it. Not real thick, but just enough to cover the slope. And then as needed between the ties, bang through it. So that's what I did. Okay, so you got it on, you got your layer. Next thing I'm going to do with my spoon is I'm going to use the back side of it. And this is where it gets a little interesting. And I guess you could say delicate, but look at the camcorder, make sure I got this in a good position. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get as much of this off the surface of the ties as possible. You're going to have some that's going to stick to the back of the spoon. Not much you can do about that, but try to get as much of it as possible, but you can't. Just leave it, and then we go on and we shape it. You can see some of it's already globulating on the spoon, but try to avoid that. You can't really, but not much you can do about it. And then if I need to, I'll take the tip and I'll get it off of the ties. And that's basically what I do. I just work it and get it formed. Probably a little more labor intensive than some of the other processes, but it works. Okay, so there we go. I don't know how well this is going to show it, and apparently it's not. Come on, you. If you look real close right against the web, that whiteness is actually the pearls of glue. And you can see it covers it up just nice and good. So what you do next is you let this dry overnight. Now remember, the base is dry, not necessarily the top, depending on how thick you put it on. If you put it on thin enough, you'll penetrate the whole thing. But this is a little thicker than that, so I'll have to come back and put some of the 50-50 on it to finish securing it. But so let dry overnight and then come back and do the 50-50. And of course, we're not going to let it dry overnight. We're going to move on to a section I already did a while ago that needs some more of the 50-50 put on it, and I'll show you how to do it after you've let this layer dry overnight and everything. It usually takes overnight, and that's about it. Of course, depending on humidity and stuff like that, it might take a little longer, but just see what works for you. So, alrighty, I'm going to reposition the tripod, and we'll be back in a minute. Alright, we're back. So once you're done, I'm running my fingernail along it and I can't get it up. The only stuff that's loose on here is stuff that is down here where I don't want it. So basically it's like down here where you'll have foam and it's just loose because that wasn't where I wanted to put glue in the first place, so just ignore that. I gotta come off the vacuum cleaner and vacuum all this up, but move some stuff here. Okay, so for this, okay, hold on a second.